Take a nice deep breath. Breath is very important, obviously. If you stop breathing, you leave the body. And the breath is oxygen, a connector, and it's an element that we're working with as our creative tool, one of our creative tools. My topic, this is Mother's Day. Of course, every minute, every moment is Mother's moment. Because when you're a mother, you are always concerned about the welfare and the well-being of your children and your family. And a true mother knows that all children are her children. Because your heart, who you are, it's a mood, is about caring for. See, when people talk about love, it's basically lust. I like you and then I don't like you. Or I want your body, I want your money, I want your attention, I want something from you. And what happens with lust is I want what you've got, I want you gone, and I want you dead. And lust shows you it's like envy. Envy is like that as well. Actually, envy is the problem. And that means that you have something I want that I don't have. That means I can get pleasure from you because I'm not getting any pleasure from myself. And we think of pleasure, we think of just bodily sensations or bodily sense gratification or sense pleasures. And we want to actually bring our focus into that place of being a divine being, where you're always endeavoring for the welfare of others. And how you can tell whether you are a true divine being or not is that you're always focused on how can I contribute to you? How can I assist you to be who you are, to be all that you are? And on a Mother's Day, thinking about my own mom and my great-grandmother and my mom's mother, and my great-grandmother was a magnificent matriarch. She cared for the entire family. She would help them with their down payments for their houses or help them to get their cars. She was more than that. It wasn't just about material things. She was there for us emotionally, mentally, physically. She knew how to love. And she was always there. We could always go home to Nanny because she was home. She was a mother. And when we think about mothering, caring for, it could be a fatherly thing, a motherly thing, but it's the sense of I'm not here to take or to abuse or to use, because we don't need to. We need to know and be who we are. And you can see so much going on in the world to really depower women, the mother, as if, what may I say, it's a material thing of how many designer clothes can I buy you, how many trips to so-called Disney World can I take you to, how many movies can I, subject you to, how can you fit in, how can you belong, how can you, all of this kind of thing. And what I learned from my mothers and my great-grandmothers is they sacrificed, but it wasn't like a sacrifice you owe me. I know when my daughter, who came to me, it was about 7 years ago now, and I did hospice for her and took care of my daughter. And I was there for her first breath and her last breath. And it was such a pleasure to give birth to my own child. my own person, because I was right there, and so were both of my girls. And to be actually able to nourish that person inside my body and do the things that would help my children be strong. But I also was really, really ignorant in those days, because being a product of media and education and all we were talking, Dr. Spock, all these kind of things. And I could feel a lot of guilt about all that, but it's over and done. And I could apply now what I didn't know then. And we have to also be good to ourselves and realize that there's been so much going on in the world to negate real human beings, real divine beings, real eternal beings who are compassionate, who are caring, who are there to empower others, always. And my mom, I was realizing, was very talented, beautiful singer, perfect pitch. And yet in her own childhood, she was a preemie. She was premature. And she was in a incubator for a couple of months and came home and then put her little body in a shoebox. That's how little she was. And all the things that she went through and did, and all the suffering and all the pain and all the frustration, because in those days, very few people knew anything really about themselves. They did before that, but had forgotten. And all of the programming that comes in through all those media systems, educational systems, that, in a sense, misdirect us. So that instead of a mother it's really interesting, as I watch and notice what's going on in the world. And I know a lot of wonderful women. I mean, there's nobody like them. They're there for their children, for others, for the community. And it's not that they're always trying to get their children to be somebody, to attain something. That a real mother, loving mother, and you can see it in animals, the loving that's caring for them, is that you wish them well, and you know they need to have their own strength. Many people don't know this, but a little chicken or a little duck, if you help them get out of that egg and you crack that egg because you see that they're struggling to get out of the egg, they won't last. They have to use their strength. See what happens when we have mothering and fathering, but it's all material. We want them to be happy. I remember when I take my girls, say, to Disneyland years ago. I wouldn't go there now at all. Nothing there it's disgusting, basically. It's artificial. And they go on all the rides, but at the end, and I say, it's over. Oh, the rides are over. I want more rides. Because they're all sugared out, and they want to get. It's like Christmas or any holiday or any so-called birthday gift. They open them and throw them away. Open them and throw them away. I got to have this. I got to have an iPhone, or I got to have this, or I got to have that. Because my friends, and what happens is, we've been set up to police each other and also to police ourselves continuously, judging, criticizing the children. When my older daughter, she was, I was noticing she was having a lot of problems, and what I did is this one day I was sitting on a sofa and I said to my God self, what do I need to know? And I hear automatically, quickly, check that book right there. And I had just bought this book called Your Child's Self-Esteem years ago. And I just opened it, and there it was for me. Stop criticizing your children. And criticism is so hurtful to people. The problem is so many people can't tell the difference between actually an empowering statement that was not meant to criticize, but to enhance in some way or help, but that people take it so personally. And that we think that the way to actually be a mother or a father is to give our children every material benefit because we didn't want them to suffer or struggle like we did. And what happens is the children, as they grow up, have no sense of their own ability, their own strength, their own talents, because they've been taught you have to work a computer and have a computer job, or you work at a fast foods or a big corporation, and that you came into this world so you can be an automaton, a robot. You could fill a program. You can do a job for the bankers or the corporate world or the government, something like that. And where are you? And where are those children and those people that we love and we care for? And I never felt like I wasn't enough in my family. But I had my own program, because we've all been programmed on a deep level that I wasn't good enough. And then you're not good enough, you lack self-confidence. And then we expect that someone else is going to give this to us and they're going to take care of us, instead of using our own divine powers and abilities to manifest. So I'll be doing some Sunday, maybe even Saturday, all-day workshops and seminars here at Shasta on mastering manifestation. It's very, very important to know how this world operates and how you manifest and how you produce things and how you can manifest whatever you need and when you need it. So let's get back to mother. And mothering isn't about changing your body to make it look like a woman or look like a man or any of that kind of thing. It's an inner thing. It's nothing to do with hormones, we might say. There's something much different involved. And when we allow ourselves to be the mother, we have to look at what are we doing with our children. Remember this one time this father came with his little girl, and she sat down at the piano, and the way I do it is just play the piano and pound on it, have fun, do whatever you need to do, get used to it. Play. The father sits down, plays something, said, "This is the way you do it." The little girl got up and left. She walked away. Why? And I knew somebody else. They spent a huge amount of money to build a playhouse for the children because they'd love it. But the children never use the playhouse because kids want to make their own playhouse. And when I want to be grateful to my mother and my great-grandmother and my family for the love and support that they always gave me. I had a wonderful childhood and wonderful, loving parents and family. Everybody had their issues and their stuff. And as being a mother myself, oftentimes things you don't know until you are a mother, that you're really looking at their spiritual life. And grandparents, your job is your grandchildren's spiritual life. And I always say that the grandparents and the grandchildren get along so well because they have a common enemy, but it's not really. But parents are so involved in the material world and making it and being somebody and arriving and getting there and being okay and paying the bills. And oh my God, I'd like to escape, but I look in my checkbook and I can't afford it. And you'd have to look at what has happened to humanity. What has happened to people? What has happened to mothers? And being a mother, as if it's a low job. It's like someone said the other day, I said, they didn't like the word service. You have to serve yourself. You don't serve others. I said, when you serve others, that's where your happiness is. That's where your joy is. It comes in the joy of the other person when they realize and they recognize who they are and their capabilities and what's possible. Now, my great-grandmother, she's my spiritual partner. She's here again as a family member. And, hey, moms. And you don't have to have children to be a mother in that sense, when you really are in your heart. And your work and everything you do is not there to cheat. It's not there to lie. It's not there to steal. It's not there to kill. It's not there to destroy. It's to nurture. My friend was telling me, but she has chickens. And then she has this container, so she had little baby chickens in there. And they had arrived, I guess, in the mail, and they were kind of sickly. That was okay. But there was one little little guy like this. He's trying to cheer up everybody, you know, and that one kind of didn't make it, fell by the wayside, and he tried to get everybody going and cheer him on and everything. The chicken was being a mom. He said, get it going, have it happen. And then when the last little guy left, that little guy left too, because it just kind of, it's kind of over. And yet, you could notice that in the sweetness. It's like in elephants. And how they come back and they help people. Remember, years ago, I had my church in San Diego, and about 200 of us would volunteer for the Special Olympics. And then this one thing was a relay race. And these boys, men, and they had Down syndrome, I believe, in their bodies. They had a big, huge heart and a lot of love and sweetness. And as they were running the relay race, the little guy out in front, his buddy, who was second, dropped his baton. And the little guy first, he stopped and he went back. He picked up the baton real fast and gave it to his friend so he could be in the race. It wasn't about winning. It was about playing the game. Yeah. Life is not about winning and losing. No. You are life, and you are eternity. And mothering, fathering, parenting, or caring for, whether it's your project, whether it's your garden, whether it's your animal friends, whoever that may be, you take a look at, are you always looking to get a good deal? Are you always looking how you can cheat this and get that? And see, most people are basically cut and paste. They copy and paste. What do I want to be like? I'll copy them and paste that over me. I'll copy that and paste that over me so that I can be somebody, so that I can make it. The greatest work in the world, in this world, is to do this knowledge. And the greatest gift for me in this life is to be a mother. Mm-hmm. And a grandmother. Yes. And to be there for our children. Mother yourself. It's okay. And if you don't have love, go out and give love.